Hello, everyone, and welcome to another year of the FYE Podcast from the University of Texas, Rio Grande Valley. This is Dr. Jose Saldivar, and I've got some exciting news for everyone. We have some new hosts this year. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to allow our hosts to introduce themselves, and I'm going to start with my friend Jerry here. Jerry, why don't you introduce yourself to our audience?
Hi everyone, my name is Jerry and I'm actually a junior at UTRGV and I actually major in mass communications and minor in marketing, and I just joined the first year experience students this summer, and I'm so excited to start working on the podcast. I actually have my own podcast, so I think it'd be so cool to just start learning and start sharing student stories.
Awesome. Thank you, Jerry. Next, we have Gerson.
Hey, what's going on? I'm Gerson. I'm a sophomore. I'm supposed to be going to be a junior this next year, hopefully. This next semester. I'm a major in theater with a concentration in TV and film. I'm excited. I'm excited to start the podcast. I do have some experience with producing and editing video. So hopefully I'm well prepared, but I don't know.
Good, thank you. Hopefully you guys make me look good. And last, we have Nick.
Hi, thank you for having me, Jose. My name's Nick Balderas. I work with the Office of Students of Success. Right now I'm a graduate student at the university. I'm studying computer science. And currently I'm working on my master's thesis, and hopefully it's going to be in the topic of cybersecurity. So right now I'm just getting more involved in the department and in this podcast, and just trying to get that experience to, have my voice heard and the voice heard of, our other fellow students.
Awesome. Thank you, Nick. So this being our first podcast of the academic year, right? What I'd like to do is I'd like for each of us to kind of talk about our hopes and expectations for the coming year, and to think about what we plan to do to grow the podcast, grow our audience, because I feel like we find ourselves in a really unique situation, a unique moment, really like in history, right? We find ourselves in the midst of a pandemic. And so students aren't going to be on campus. And so outlets like this and the virtual space and social media are going to become more important for students to get information, right? And so for me, my hope is that we can provide some really timely information. We can help reassure students, because if I'm apprehensive, if I'm a little anxious as I approach a new semester, right, I'm going to be teaching, but still I have questions and I have worries. I can imagine what students might be feeling. So my goal, and all of you can chime in, is to kind of put students at ease and help students feel relaxed and feel like at least I'm getting some timely information, talking to people in the know, people who are making some of the big decisions. And so I know, Jerry, you're gonna help us find some of those people. But yeah, I hope that we can be a resource. I hope we can put some people at ease and help them feel comfortable, especially our students, and prepare them for the coming academic year. And of course, cover timely topics and things that I think are relevant for all students all the time. So who wants to take it now?
I'll go ahead and jump in. Right now it's been very difficult for not just students, but for everyone else, first responders, people that are working in the community. And, a lot of our students are in these jobs and, in service industry, and their lives are kind of turned upside down. Personally, and my life has just completely changed. I was, 9 to 5 job, being in an office, being on campus, working on my projects, and now it's just everything's been from home. And as things start to change, this digital platform is going to be something that's going to be the regular. It's going to be the new normal. And as we get used to being on these platforms, getting our voices heard, I think is really important, because our lives are very dynamic, and I think a lot of our lives are very socially influenced, and I think like the only way to stay connected right now is just to be able to, you know, find resources. And I think this podcast is going to help us get those resources out to a lot of different people.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I'm personally a bit split on this whole digital thing. I really like to be in person. I would love to work in the office right now. So I can't miss it, but also I feel like it's so much more dynamic to just be able to work from home and work at whatever time you have, and like in classes too. Like some of the classes are asynchronous, so that means that you don't have like a set time for them, so you can just find your own time during the day, and it's super easy.
I guess just to be a little silver lining to all this is I feel like, and I've always said this once all the pandemic started, was I feel like I was the least affected by everything. I already take so many online classes, and my old jobs or my old position when the quarantine and everything did happen was I was always working from home. Like most of my job was working from home, and then like the only things I would go into the office for were to like present things and do like audio and video like work, like physical work. But like I just feel like I do most of my life on social media and online and over technology at home. So when the quarantine happened, I was like, wow, I guess I wasn't wasting my time too much, like basing my whole life on technology. But yeah, it's I think right now it's just all about de-escalating the current tensions that some students might have, and just making sure that they feel like their voices are being heard, and they can come to hopefully a safe space to talk about their issues and any kind of concerns they have, especially going into their first year right now. I can't physically imagine being a freshman right now, like in a time like this. Like it's so exciting, but it's also like just so crazy. Like you're the first generation to probably have to go into your freshman year at a time like this. So
Mm-hmm.
I think
Orientation online.
Exactly, like orientation. Like I think we should just offer as much resources as possible.
Mm-hmm. These are all great points, guys. And Jerry, I think to your point, right? You've been preparing for this all your life to this moment. So now's your time to shine. But I think you're right. I think all of you are right. If we can help, to use Jerry's words, right, de-escalate, because I think it's easy for us to kind of just jump over the edge and feel like oh no, sort of doom and gloom. And I think if you're just listening to like the media and the news, and it is obviously right, it's a serious situation. It is sad, it is scary, but at the same time, I don't know, if you're young, I would hope. I remember being young at one point and feeling really hopeful, and being able to look down the road and to see the promise of right college and what lay after college. And I still want to give young people hope. I still want our students to feel like it's a good time to be a student. Like there's still so much possibility available for them and opportunity for them. And so I hope we can do that. Yeah.
Yeah, definitely.
So in addition to providing students resources, right? Jerry says we should give students as many resources as possible. What are some topics? So obviously, right, the pandemic. What are some topics that you hope we can cover during this next year on the podcast?
Well, I think working with this podcast is going to be a great opportunity to bring not only just, current events that are going around, like, in the news, but, we could possibly bring like many civically engaged, community members, and bringing people from the community, from not only just the university community, but from the community at large, from the cities that we live in, and, leaders in the public eye that are doing many different things that are helping many different people, and just have something to say, because I think not only are our students' voices important, but it's really important for them to just see how other people are doing, especially people that are in the front line doing really hard things. You know, even people in the service industry are just struggling, and then just hearing their perspective. So, you know, we're all kind of in this together at this moment in time. So I think, you know, bringing some sort of, you know, community leader to come speak to the, you know, students would be just like a great idea.
Mm-hmm.
Gerson, what do you hope to cover, to talk about this year?
Well, I think the topic of being organized is going to be even more important, because I think being at home and then going to work at a different place kind of gives you a different mindset. When you get there, you're in a different space. Yeah. But having to work at your house, it's like you have to do it yourself. You have to put yourself in, like, I'm working right now, so no TV on or like the radio, whatever, you know, and you have to stay organized. And I think I've always done a poor job at being organized. But this semester I made what do you call it? I don't know. I made an extra effort I got myself a planner, and I'm trying to take notes of everything that I do and everything that I know that I'm going to need later, because also my memory sucks. So I have to write everything down. And I think that's very important. Like coming from high school, especially the new students, I don't think we're used to just being on our own coming from high school. So I think that's very important. And also, I don't know, but like different topics that are more of a breather from the regular harsh news that are going on TV and the news and everything. I think that we can use this podcast to kind of, I don't know, just be like a source of an escape for students. Talking about things that we can all relate to, and stuff that we can do during the pandemic, or places where you can go that are safe and still have a bit of fun and stuff like that.
Yeah. Awesome.
I also think just in terms of like resources that we would love to let the students know about, is just like things that this university itself offers through their departments. I mean, if we're just talking about student health, like, we need to understand as students to take advantage of resources at a time like this, to the various centers that UT Health has spread across the UTRGV, and the testing sites that UT Health is frontline leading, and exactly the counseling center for any kind of student mental health awareness that needs to be brought up at a time right now, and most students are at home in isolation. And I think on the issue of financials, I would love to tackle like just the things that students that they don't need to feel alone at times like right now. Like, we have the Student Emergency Fund for a reason. We have the fall relief package coming soon. It's resources like that I also want to just let students know, like, these like UTRGV, and I don't want to, you know, just point out, but Dr. Guy Bailey has done so much for the students in terms of making sure that our voices are heard and our concerns are being dealt with. So with hardline resources like that, I want to make sure, like, incoming freshmen specifically, know there are things that are here at this university to comfort them.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you.
Yeah, there's a lot of resources, and a lot of times we don't even know that they're there. And especially now, it feels like there's nothing going on, but everything's online now. So all the different things that Jerry's talking about are also, I'm sure you can find a way to find them online. I think it's very important.
Do you think it'll be helpful? So people accessing our podcast, and right now we're currently on SoundCloud, we're on iTunes. Our goal is to be on Spotify, and revive this sort of like a YouTube channel, FYE YouTube channel, maybe a student success YouTube channel. But do you think it would be helpful to put links off of all of our social media, so that students, you know, if they're listening to the podcast and they think you know, they hear Jerry talking about something or one of us talking about one of the resources that then they can just access them through the podcast. Would that be helpful, do you think?
Yeah, I think like now that we're recording like this, we can go afterward and just make a list of everything that we talked about, so we can have, as people are listening, they can see all the different links to it.
Yeah, and I think like when we were speaking with our social media group for our department, we had a bunch of different ideas of how we can interconnect a lot of our, you know, our resources, and more specifically our social media group, putting our information on their videos or on their advertisements, and being able to like cross advertise for our different services for our particular department in student success. And, you know, we could potentially have a bump in one of their videos for, you know, advertising the podcast, and vice versa. And we can, you know, just kind of utilize all parts of the technology like aspect that we're using, you know, just like be intertwined, lack of a better word, and being able to just like, you know, being able to have like those different kinds of opportunities.
Yeah, I just want to impress upon the students, and Jerry and Gerson have already alluded to this, right? There are a number of resources, right? And throughout the year, we'll talk about the resources. And I think what we want to do is kind of provide them to the students in a timely manner, right? And I've talked about this in the past, just so we're getting the resources to them at the right time. But also for them to realize, even though we may not be there physically, and that doesn't mean the university is closed, because it's not closed, right? You could still go to the university. But that a lot of the resources, right, Gerson and Jerry, a lot of these resources are going to be available online. And so there's no excuse to say, I'm not there, I can't access it. I'm not there, I can't go to this office, right? But so much of it will be on, you know, will be available virtually and you know, online, so that anyone can access it. Anyone, regardless of where you're at, where you're living, you know, that you can, but as long as you're a student there, you can access these resources. And I think we really want to impress that upon our students. And you all will be resources, right?
Definitely.
You now in your new position. So you know, since we're talking about resources, right? Why not so you all represent our first group of what we call our student success gurus, right? And so what we wanted to do when we were creating these positions, and I'm going to put a plug and thank our dean, Dr. Jonica Charlton, because really this was her brainchild. But you know, we wanted to take advantage of you all as students as resources, right? Because I think a lot of students immediately when they have a question, they ask a peer. And they ask the person sitting next to them, or they ask a friend. And we thought, let's empower a group of students, right? And so we've created these student success gurus. The three of you are the 3 of 20 gurus. And so you all will be resources, not only on the podcast, but just your information will be out there. Students will be able to contact you and ask you questions about the variety of resources available to students throughout the university. How do you feel about that?
I mean, it's typically like a really interesting time that we're living in. I mean, this, you know, COVID hitting, and then just like losing all forms of like social contact with like your friends. I think people are just like itching to like, you know, find ways to like get out there and just communicate with somebody. And I mean, I'm always constantly having people call me and like checking up on me, and I'm vice versa. I'm always checking up on them. So like us as student gurus, you know, we're here to just like assist college students really, and then just, you know, kind of help them through academic success. You know, just like talking about our own experiences is almost like highlighting, you know, what they can do better for themselves. I mean, I didn't become involved in the university in my undergrad right away. It took me about 2 years to finally just decide, like, you know what, maybe I should start joining some groups or some student organizations. And, you know, by that time, I felt like I missed out. I really did. I felt like I missed out on, like, potential opportunities that, you know, could have gotten me a scholarship. And, like, I literally missed out on that. And by the time I realized that I could have had all these resources for me, I time lost. But eventually, as I got some traction and got involved, with student government, et cetera, and different organizations, that, it made me realize now that I want to give this information out. This is what's important. And it's just like being able to, like how, Jerry said, like de-escalate our lives right now. There's so much stuff going on. What are the good parts about it? And it's like, and, Gerson even mentioned talking about things in the news. Like, I'm here trying to get people more civically engaged with community leaders, but, Gerson's, kind of putting out that idea. Maybe we should talk more about like good stuff, talk about like how to prepare ourselves for the future. And I think that's probably another thing that's really important for us, connecting with students.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I think it's cool that it's us as students that we're gonna have the information that other students need, because it is hard as a student to ask questions, because you feel kind of dumb when you ask a question, and sometimes we get a little embarrassed. So I think it's good that we're making it more, easier for them to reach out, and we should make it a point to be as, available as we can. And we're gonna be on Instagram and Facebook, I think Twitter too. So hopefully students want to reach out to us if they have any questions.
I guess just to add to what you all are saying, I think as well, as an entering freshman, it's really overwhelming because you really don't understand like the scope of how big the university is and just how many different things there are. Like, I didn't understand till last year that we had a counseling center, and I took advantage of it just because of how easy it was. And then even when I needed to go get a physical done at one of the student clinics, I had no idea that there's actually a call line dedicated to student health questions at UTRGV. Like, you could get diagnosed over the phone. So it's awesome how many different resources you can find just by like simply searching the UTRGV directory. But lots of students as entering freshmen might not just know about exactly what our university can offer. So yeah, if students are listening right now, this is a plug, but please follow us on Twitter, Instagram, like us on Facebook, because we really just do, we'll be sharing more in the future just on not only the podcast, but what kind of resources we personally are hosting and what kind of resources like all of the UTRGV has. Yeah, but I understand right now, especially working from home and even, now doing like studying from home through Blackboard, like classes now have like 4 to 5 different classifications based on their online capability. There's asynchronous and then there's synchronous. So I think a lot of students right now should probably start researching exactly what each of those terms mean, because it's easy to just see an online class and think it's going to be online. I can do it whenever, which might be the case, but some online classes might not be that way as we enter in this fall semester.
Thank you. So, we're coming up on the end of this first podcast. And I think, I'd like each of you to give a brief kind of just closing thought, maybe share something for our students. Obviously, I think everybody's kind of should know, right? We're all here. We want to be resources to students. We want to provide them with information. But if you want to leave our audience with a final thought, so maybe each of you share a final thought for our audience. We'll start with Nick and work around to Gerson and Jerry. So one final thought, Nick.
Okay, thanks for that. Really, I want feedback. If anything for this podcast, I think getting any kind of feedback, whether if it's good or bad. I mean, if you have something negative to say, tell us. I mean, like, we want to hear it. We want to hear you guys become the Karens, of the world, and that's fine. I mean, Karen needs love too, and I think like this whole idea of people coming forward with like a complaint, I mean, it's fine. I mean, we need to hear it sometimes, and I mean, not in like a bad way where it's going to disrespect someone, but, you know, in a good way where you want to have some feedback of how we can do something better, or, you know, something that you want to see for our podcast.
Yeah,
so
because this is their podcast. I'm sorry to interrupt you, but yeah, this is a student podcast. So like whatever.
Yeah, that's what we want. So I think like we're all on the same page. And like Gerson said, it's like something you want to see on here, tell us and communicate us. You'll see us on it. You can get our information.
All right. Thank you, Nick. Gerson?
Yeah, just to let students know that are listening that we're available. So any questions that they have, might be too early to email your professors, or, you know, it's kind of confusing if you have a question who to reach out to. And I think we're a good link between the students and the school. So if you have any questions, and we're gonna keep introducing more gurus hopefully in this podcast in the coming episodes. I think some of our other co-workers are gonna join us. So hopefully you get to meet them, and yeah.
Jerry?
I don't want to repeat anything, so I'll just offer some, I guess, Wednesday wisdom on a Friday. But just know that if you're entering as a freshman or back as a sophomore this year at UTRGV, just know it's not always going to be like this. There's hope at the end of the tunnel. It can, as someone that has anxiety, it can be easy to feel like this is going to be forever and you're never going to actually get to be on campus, but it's not going to be that way. It's just right now, there's just times where we need to understand the current scope of what exactly is happening. And across our country, you're not alone. Lots of students are going through exactly what you are right now. And I guess if I could just say, we're just going to try to deliver hope here. And we're just going to try to make sure that you feel understood and you don't feel alone. Don't want to end it on a sad note or anything, but just know, that none of this is permanent. Everything's always moving. And if we play our cards right, we'll be back all on campus in spring. So just know it's going to be okay.
Yeah, Jerry, I really like that, you know, ending it with a really hopeful message. I appreciate that, because I think that's what a lot of people need. And, you know, I think students and even faculty, staff, everybody that's at the university, you know, generally just need that hope. And at the same time, they need to feel like they're cared for, because they are. Like, you matter, you know, as a person. You matter personally, and the people around you and your family, they matter. So I think that's a really good message.
Well, thank you all. Thank you, gentlemen, for joining me on the podcast. I look forward to our future episodes.
Thanks.
And the last thing I'll leave is I just want to put a call out actually to students, to faculty, staff, community members. If you're interested in being a guest on our podcast, or if there's a topic you'd like to see us cover or discuss, let us know. Contact us through our email, fye@utrgv.edu. Otherwise, that's it. That's us signing off, and we will see you next time. Thanks for joining us.
Thank you.
Bye, guys.